The rejection and rising. The grand hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with an ethereal light that reflected off its crystalline walls, designed to intimidate visitors with its sheer magnificence. Dr. Samira Patel stood alone at the center of the chamber, a singular human figure surrounded by the elevated platforms where 23 alien representatives observed her, with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. After 2 centuries of space exploration and 50 years of diplomatic overtures, humanity had finally secured an audience with the Galactic Council, the governing body that controlled trade routes, colonization rights, and technological exchange throughout the known universe. The Council has reviewed Earth's application for associate membership, announced High Counselor Exiled, a tall avian being whose silver feathers rustled with each precise movement. We acknowledge your species' rapid technological advancement and your efforts toward peace among your own kind. Samira allowed herself a moment of hope. Earth had worked diligently to meet the Council's prerequisites: environmental restoration, population stabilization, and the development of sustainable faster-than-light travel. Humanity had united under a single world government, the Earth Confederation, specifically to strengthen their petition. However, Exiled continued, after thorough analysis of your species' historical patterns and biological imperatives, we have determined that humans represent an unacceptable risk to galactic stability. Samira's diplomat training couldn't completely mask her shock. High Counselor, with respect, Earth has maintained global peace for over a century. Our technological innovations are precisely what concern us, interrupted Counselor Drav, a gelatinous entity whose translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Your species achieves in decades what takes others millennia. Your adaptive capacity and drive for expansion exceed safe parameters. You advance without proper evolutionary balance, added another counselor, this one a crystalline being whose voice resonated like struck glass. You move too quickly, think too divergently, and possess an alarming capacity for both creation and destruction. Exiled raised a feathered appendage, silencing the chamber. The Council's decision is unanimous. Earth's application is denied. Furthermore, to protect established galactic order, the following restrictions will be imposed. Human vessels are confined to your solar system and immediate neighboring stars only. Any expansion beyond these boundaries will be considered an act of aggression against the Council and its members. Samira's mind raced through diplomatic options, arguments, appeals, but the finality in Exil's tone made it clear this verdict had been predetermined. May I ask if reconsideration will be possible in the future? When your species demonstrates sufficient evolutionary advancement to temper your inherent tendencies, the Council may review this decision. Until then, monitoring stations will be established at the boundaries of your permitted space. You're containing us, Samira stated, abandoning diplomatic phrasing. We are protecting the established order, Exiled corrected. This audience is concluded. As Samira turned to leave, her comm unit vibrated against her wrist with a priority message from Earth Command. She maintained her composure until she reached her ship, where she collapsed into the captain's chair and activated the secure channel. Dr. Patel greeted Admiral Kwan, her weathered face filling the screen. I take it from your expression that the Council was not receptive. They've confined us to our solar system and nearby stars. Admiral, they're placing monitoring stations at the boundaries. They've essentially quarantined humanity. The Admiral's expression hardened. Then it's fortunate we prepared for this outcome. Return to Earth immediately. You've just become part of Project Exodus. 6 months later, Captain Maya Chen stood on the observation deck of the prototype vessel Pathfinder, watching as engineers made final adjustments to what appeared to be an ordinary fusion drive housing. The deception was intentional. What lay within was anything but ordinary. The Council thinks they know the limits of human innovation, said Dr. Elijah Okafor, the lead physicist on the project, as he joined her at the viewport. That's their fundamental mistake. Will it work, Eli? Maya asked, keeping her voice low despite the secure location deep within Jupiter's orbit. The phase shift drive doesn't operate within normal spacetime parameters, Elijah explained. It creates a dimensional variance that essentially slides the ship between the fabric of space. We don't break the Council's detection grid. We simply exist in a state their sensors can't perceive. And they have no idea this technology exists. How could they? They never bothered to truly understand human theoretical physics. They assessed our capabilities based on conventional propulsion advancement curves. They never imagined we would approach space travel from an entirely different paradigm. Maya nodded, studying the retrofitted scout ship. How long until we're ready for the test run? 48 hours. Then we'll see if humanity can slip through the bars of our cosmic cage. The test was successful beyond their wildest expectations. The Pathfinder didn't just evade the Council's detection grid. It reached the TOS-CD system in mere hours, a journey that would have taken weeks with conventional FTL drives. Within months, Earth launched 40 similar vessels, each carrying specialized teams to scout potential colony worlds beyond Council space. Maida's mission took her to a system designated HFY 405, 80 light-years from Earth and well outside the Council's awareness. As the Pathfinder emerged from phase space, her sensors detected an uncharted habitable world and an artificial structure in orbit around it. "Captain, we're being hailed," her communications officer reported. "It's not using any Council standard frequency." "Put it through," Maya ordered, straightening in her chair. The view screen activated to reveal a humanoid alien with iridescent blue skin and large faceted eyes. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Nelvary space. Identify yourself." Maya had studied hundreds of species files in preparation for her mission, but had never encountered a reference to the Nelvary. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration." The alien's expression shifted to one of surprise. "Earth? You are humans. How did you reach this sector without Council detection?" "Perhaps that's a conversation worth having," Maya replied carefully. "Especially if you have reason to avoid Council attention as well." A tense silence followed before the Nelvary responded. "I am Commander Telex. The Council denied our species membership 2 centuries ago and restricted our development. Yet here you are, somehow beyond your permitted boundaries." A pause. "I believe we have much to discuss, Captain Chen." That conversation marked the beginning of what would become the Alliance of Independent Worlds. The Nelvary, it turned out, had been denied Council membership for their excessive resource utilization and inappropriate developmental priorities. Like humans, they had been judged and contained. But unlike humans, they lacked the technological innovation to circumvent their restrictions. Within 2 years, humanity had established 12 colonies beyond Council space, each carefully hidden by phase shift technology. The Nelvary became their first allies, followed by the Saurians, another species rejected by the Council for their aggressive territorial expansion. As Earth shared their phase shift technology with these allies, more outcast and overlooked species joined the growing network. Dr. Samira Patel, now appointed as Earth's ambassador to the nascent alliance, addressed the first formal gathering of representatives from 7 non-Council species. "The Galactic Council believes in stability through stagnation," she told the assembled delegates. "They fear innovation, adaptation, and change. They rejected each of us because we represented uncertainty in their carefully ordered universe. But together, we represent the true path of galactic evolution, diversity of thought, cooperation between different evolutionary paths, and the strength that comes from embracing change rather than fearing it." As the Alliance grew in the shadows of Council space, humanity expanded not just their territorial reach, but their understanding of the universe. The exchange of knowledge between species accelerated technological development in ways the Council had feared. But rather than leading to conflict, it fostered unprecedented cooperation. The Council remained ignorant of these developments, their monitoring stations detecting no unusual activity from the supposedly contained human civilization. Earth maintained a careful facade of compliance, sending periodic updates about their modest colonies within permitted space, while their true empire flourished beyond. But Maya Chen, now admiral of the growing Alliance fleet, knew that discovery was inevitable. The question wasn't if the Council would learn of their defiance, but when, and whether the fledgling Alliance would be strong enough to stand against the established power that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. The confrontation and triumph. 25 years after humanity's rejection from the Galactic Council, the Alliance of Independent Worlds had grown from a secret collaboration to a thriving interstellar network. What began with Earth, the Nelvari, and the Saurians had expanded to include 37 species across more than 200 star systems. While the Council believed humans remained confined to their small corner of space, humanity had become the technological and diplomatic cornerstone of an alternative galactic community. The Alliance Central Station, constructed in the void between star systems where Council patrols never ventured, served as its headquarters. Admiral Maya Chen, now in her 50s with silver streaks through her once black hair, stood before the Alliance Assembly. Representatives from all member worlds gathered in a chamber that deliberately avoided the intimidating design of the Council Hall. Here, all seats were positioned at equal height in a circular arrangement, symbolizing the Alliance's founding principle, cooperation between equals. The development of the enhanced phase shift network is complete, Maya announced. All member worlds are now connected through subspace corridors that allow virtually instantaneous travel between major systems. Our commerce, defense, and communication capabilities have reached a level that the Council would consider concerning. Ambassador Talax of the Nelvari, now one of Maya's closest allies and friends, leaned forward. Speaking of the Council, our intelligence suggests increased activity at their monitoring stations. They've detected gravitational anomalies from our phase shift activities. It was inevitable, Maya acknowledged. We've grown too large to remain completely hidden. The question now is whether we continue our policy of avoidance, or if it's time for the Alliance to reveal itself. The chamber erupted in debate. Some representatives argued for continued secrecy, fearing Council retaliation. Others believed the Alliance had grown strong enough to stand openly as a legitimate galactic power. The decision was made for them 3 days later when a Council exploration vessel, investigating gravitational anomalies, stumbled upon an Alliance colony in the Rigel sector. The ship was peacefully intercepted and its crew treated with respect, but the discovery could not be undone. Within hours, the Council called an emergency session. High Counselor Exiled, now entering the final years of his long life, stared in disbelief at the reports. "Impossible," he muttered. "The monitoring network should have detected any human expansion beyond their boundaries." "The evidence is irrefutable," Counselor Drav replied, their gelatinous form rippling with agitation. "Humans have not only breached containment but have established colonies across at least 50 documented worlds, and these are just the ones we've confirmed. Worse," added another counselor, "they've formed alliances with numerous species, including several we previously restricted. They've created their own interstellar community outside our governance." Hexerith's feathers bristled with anger. "This validates our original assessment of humanity as an unstable element. They have systematically undermined Council authority and threatened the stability of the galactic order." "The diplomatic approach has failed," Drav stated. "We must use the enforcement fleet to dismantle these illegal colonies and return each species to their designated boundaries." The Council vote was unanimous. Within days, the enforcement fleet, the largest military force in known space, mobilized toward the nearest detected Alliance colony. On Alliance Central Station, Ambassador Samira Patel received the Council's formal communication with a calm that came from long preparation. "They demand our immediate dissolution," she informed the emergency session of Alliance leadership. "All human colonies beyond Council-approved boundaries are to be abandoned. Our technology is to be surrendered for safety evaluation. All Alliance species are to return to their previously assigned territories. And if we refuse?" asked the Saurian representative, though everyone knew the answer. The enforcement fleet has been deployed, Samara replied. They expect us to capitulate when faced with overwhelming force. Admiral Chen's expression remained resolute. Their assessment is based on outdated intelligence. They have no concept of our actual capabilities or the true extent of our territory. She activated the central holographic display, showing the positions of Alliance worlds and the approaching Council fleet. They believe they're confronting a handful of rebellious colonies. They don't realize they're facing the unified interstellar alliance. We should attempt diplomatic resolution, Samara suggested. We've prepared for this moment for decades. The Council enforcement fleet arrived at the edge of the Vega system 1 week later, where they found not a defenseless colony, but a waiting Alliance diplomatic vessel, the Concorde, with Ambassador Patel aboard. Alongside it, positioned just at the edge of sensor range, a formation of Alliance ships maintained a non-threatening but vigilant presence. On the bridge of the Council flagship Celestial Judgment, Fleet Commander Orcs received the transmission request with surprise. The humans wish to speak before we enforce Council directives, he informed High Counselor Exiled, who had joined the mission to personally oversee the restoration of order. A delay tactic, Exiled dismissed. But let us hear what excuses they offer for their transgressions. The view screen activated to show Ambassador Patel, her dignified bearing unchanged from when she had stood before the Council decades earlier. High Counselor Exiled, I thank you for accepting this communication. This is not a negotiation, human, Exiled stated coldly. Your species has violated Council restrictions and formed unauthorized alliances. You will dismantle your illegal network and return to your designated boundaries immediately. With respect, High Counselor, the situation has evolved beyond simple enforcement action, Samara replied. The Alliance of Independent Worlds now encompasses 37 species across over 200 star systems. We have developed technologies, cultural exchanges, and economic interdependence that cannot be simply dismantled. Exiled's feathers bristled. You admit to these violations openly. We admit to nothing except the pursuit of self-determination. The Council rejected our membership and attempted to contain our development based on theoretical concerns about human nature. In doing so, you created the very situation you sought to prevent. You forced us to find our own path. Your path threatens galactic stability. Does it? Samara challenged. In 25 years, the Alliance has never initiated aggression against Council worlds. We've built a thriving interstellar community based on mutual respect and cooperation between species that the Council deemed unworthy or dangerous. Our crime, it seems, is succeeding without your permission. Before Exiled could respond, a proximity alert sounded on the Council flagship. The tactical officer reported with alarm. Multiple phase shift signatures detected. Alliance vessels are emerging throughout the system. The view screen split to show hundreds of ships appearing from what seemed like nowhere, surrounding the Council fleet in a three-dimensional formation that demonstrated both strategic superiority and remarkable technological coordination. The Alliance does not seek conflict, Samara continued calmly, but we will defend our right to exist. Your fleet currently sits within a phase shift field that would allow us to relocate every Council vessel to separate coordinates across 50 light-years, effectively neutralizing your military capability without bloodshed. Admiral Chen's image appeared alongside Samara's. This is not a threat, High Counselor. It is simply information you should consider before making your next decision. We would prefer to establish diplomatic relations between the Council and the Alliance as equal galactic entities. Exiled's rage was palpable, but Commander Orcs leaned in to whisper urgent tactical assessments. The Council fleet, while numerically superior, was clearly outmaneuvered and facing technology they couldn't counter. You would force the Council to recognize your illegal coalition through military intimidation, Exiled demanded. We would invite the Council to recognize reality, Samara corrected. The galaxy has changed. The Alliance exists. We can engage in costly conflict that will destabilize the very order you cherish, or we can establish new protocols for coexistence. After tense negotiations, a historic summit was arranged on neutral territory, a space station constructed specifically for the purpose at the midpoint between Council and Alliance space. Representatives from all Council species and all Alliance members gathered for what would become known as the Concordat Conference. The resulting Galactic Concordat established a new framework for interstellar relations. The Council maintained its authority over its existing territory, while the Alliance was recognized as a legitimate governance body for its member worlds. Trade agreements, technological exchange protocols, and diplomatic channels were established between the two galactic powers. 5 years after the Concordat, a ceremony was held on Earth to commemorate the opening of the Galactic Embassy Complex, where both Council and Alliance representatives would work together on matters of mutual concern. Admiral Chen, now retired from military service but serving as Earth's security advisor, stood beside Ambassador Paddle as they watched ships from across the galaxy arrive for the historic event. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when you stood before the Council all those years ago?" Maya asked. Samira smiled, watching as a Council diplomatic vessel docked alongside ships from various Alliance worlds. "Not precisely this, no. But I always believed humanity's greatest strength wasn't our technology or our adaptability. It was our stubborn refusal to accept artificial limitations. The Council still doesn't entirely trust us," Maya observed. "Trust takes time," Samira replied. "But they respect us now, and that's a beginning. They rejected us because they feared our potential for change. In the end, we forced them to change instead." As delegations from dozens of species filed into the embassy's Grand Hall, Council and Alliance members intermingling in ways unimaginable just years before, Maya reflected on humanity's journey from containment to leadership. The Council had tried to cage humanity's potential, fearing it would destabilize their carefully ordered galaxy. Instead, they had created the conditions that led to a more dynamic, diverse, and ultimately stronger galactic community. The universe, it seemed, had room for both order and innovation, and humanity had proven that sometimes rejection was just the beginning of a greater destiny.